Welcome to the couch.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
It's not as scary as it looks, right?
It's been intense, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
Look, I just wanted to start a little bit, Corree, by starting with a little bit about your background. Now, before we started rolling, you were mentioning some time at school and so on and so forth, and I do want to delve a little bit into that. But let's start with the basics. Where you're from, what you've done so far, etc. Think of it as a good opportunity to tell us something about what makes you you.
Well, I come from a pretty big family, 5 boys, 1 girl, 6 of us kids. Born in Tom Price, up in the Pilbara, moved down to Geraldton when I was about 7 and did most of my schooling there. I was lucky enough to pick up an apprenticeship when I was 23 and relocated down to Perth to pursue that and complete that. That was with Crushing Services International and studied with CET. Recently got signed off at the start of this year as a fully qualified electrician, and that's pretty much me.
And now you're living up north.
Yeah, now I'm living up north, 28 years old, and with 2 kids.
Yeah, excellent.
It's been a busy 5 years.
You've probably accomplished more in 5 years than many people would in 10 or 15.
Oh, it's a positive way to look at it.
I do want to ask, and we covered this when we were off air earlier. But you weren't always interested in doing an apprenticeship. You always originally wanted to go to uni, and then some things happened, and you didn't, and you did some other jobs in the meantime. Tell us a bit about that. Well, firstly, why uni, and then why not uni, and what happened after?
I think generally during schooling there was always the feeling that university was where you had to end up if you wanted to be successful in life. I feel like there was always a push towards university. I just didn't find an interest in it later on through my schooling, I suppose. Like, I've already been at school for 12 years. I couldn't really think about going to school for another 4, really. So I ended up just getting a job doing traffic control, and probably got stuck in that the money loop there for a while, I suppose you'd say. Did that for 6 years, but always thought of that traffic control was more of a job, not a career. So that's why I ended up moving into an apprenticeship later in life at the ripe old age of 23 as a mature age apprentice. And it's turned out pretty successfully from there, I guess you'd say.
It's interesting because we've had a few people on the couch who have started their apprenticeship a little bit later. And the overarching theme of all of them of all the people that we've had on the couch, has been, should have done it earlier.
100%. I wish I'd done it earlier. A boilermaker out on site that when I was completing my time up at Roy Hill, he actually dropped out of school in year 9 or possibly year 10, completed his apprenticeship and was fully qualified tradesman by the age of 19 or 20, going out and making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, so was lucky enough to work on the Impex project up in Darwin, out of there, making some crazy money during oil and gas. So I definitely think that we're actually probably super lucky in Australia with how our trades are represented. I think they're pretty much on par with going to university, the way they're looked at in society compared to other countries, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, it seems to be interesting because when I went through school, which was a little while ago now, it was very much a case of university or that's it. And it seems to be similar stories with all the people that I speak to. It seems to be quite similar, but it seems like that's starting to shift now. Is that something that you're seeing yourself amongst your friends and people that have got kids and so on and so forth?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Even my partner's brother, he was pretty dead set on going to university, but he's considering an apprenticeship now. So I think a lot of the younger generations probably looking the other way now as well. Like it's not uni or nothing. There is other avenues where, you know, if you're not excelling at school, you know, you can excel doing other stuff. Like the boilermaker I mentioned earlier, he was just not into it at school, I suppose you'd say, but like smart bloke nonetheless, but just school's not where he wanted to apply himself.
So I suppose the question then pertains itself to there are a myriad of different trades, right? There's bricklaying, there's being a chippy, there's concreting, etc., etc. Why electrical?
Why electrical? I always wanted to trade when I started looking into it where I could use my head and my hands. Like, I thought electrical was a good way to apply myself, and good problem solving and stuff. Not that you don't do that in every trade, but I thought it'd be a bit more present in the electrical field, I guess you'd say.
And were you right?
Yeah, it's I only just tipped the iceberg, obviously not long being qualified, of where this career can possibly take you. It's such a wide field, going from, I did my time industrial, but then there's residential, domestic. It's all under the one license, so you can pretty much go anywhere you like, running massive industrial power plants to turning on light switches in a house, really.
It certainly seems like it's a trade for the people who maybe didn't quite get the marks to get into, say, electrical engineering at university or something, or someone like yourself who, you know, they want to use their hands, they want to create something, they want to stand back at the end of the day and go, I built that, or I helped build that, but by the same token didn't necessarily want to do, just be the foreman on site or someone sweeping up or what have you.
Definitely.
You mentioned that there's a whole swathe of different sectors, I suppose, within the electrical trade. You mentioned industrial, and it'd be amiss of me not to mention that you won a few awards under that title. The first one in 2019 was the award for the second year apprentice. That was before COVID affected everything that existed. And then you won the fourth year industrial apprentice in 2021, and you went on to win the national 2020, the National Apprentice of the Year in Industrial in 2021, which was actually announced earlier this year, just because of the way COVID affected everything.
That's great.
First and foremost, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's nothing to be sniffed at. How did winning those awards change your view on your own abilities in the trade?
I think I've always come across somewhat always very confident in my abilities, but sometimes that's just a facade, I guess, I've put on. But I would say that it's definitely increased my confidence in myself and the abilities that, hey, I'm not bad at this. Give this, make a serious career out of this. Those awards they really opened up some doors for me, I think, and allowed me to get into the job I'm currently in with VHB probably a lot earlier than what I would have expected to be able to get in. Generally, they always wanted, 4 or 5 years post-trade experience. I like to think that maybe this helped me probably get in that door a little bit sooner.
So you got noticed a bit earlier because you were kicking goals, so to say.
Yeah, I guess that'd be a good way to put it. Winning those awards obviously not just good for me and my career, but also for the people who trained me up and made me into the electrician I am today. At CSI, my electrical superintendent there, Lee Bailey, he's always been very, very good towards me and has definitely helped me throughout my career, and definitely the tradesmen there. I wouldn't be half the electrician I am today if it wasn't for those tradesmen getting me off onto the right path and that early on in my time.
Absolutely. I actually did watch your acceptance speeches as well. And during them, you mentioned, and just changing tact a little bit here, but you mentioned a couple of times about mental health, particularly on site, particularly when you're working FIFO and, the remoteness that can be Australia, but the remoteness particularly then, which is amplified by FIFO work. And you mentioned that you yourself overcame some mental health challenges as well. Can I ask what they were, what brought them on, and how you actually worked through them and how you overcame them?
So I'd say mine was probably a little bit of depression, minor depression, but I'd say more so anxiety. Mm-hmm. So previous to doing my apprenticeship, I'd worked FIFO and that out on site, had partners at home, and that was never really that much of an issue. Never really hit me then, but during the third year of my apprenticeship, I had to transition from, I guess you'd say, my comfort zone in the workshop in Kwinana up to our operations at Roy Hill. And that just hit me. First day on site, I walked in and, hi, I'm your new apprentice. Here, you know. And one of the tradesmen said, you need to get out of here, you're going to learn nothing. So let's imagine that just set me off on the wrong path. And just started thinking like I've learnt so much and I've accomplished so much in my first 2 years, like I don't want it to all go amiss now. Like I want to make sure I keep learning and that, which I did keep learning on site. But yeah, probably not to the full extent I probably could have if I had remained in the workshop, I guess you'd say. I always thought I learnt the most in there. But overcoming them was just really confiding in my partner, talking to my superintendent I mentioned earlier, and other tradesmen and people on site, just talking through what I was feeling and the issues I was having, and had a really good meeting with the head of learning and development at our company. He had a one-on-one meeting with me, talked through some stuff and shared a couple of stories from when he was in a very similar position out on site. And that just really helped, talking through and actually, you know, sharing my story and hearing other people's stories. We're really not alone in it.
Do you find that there is still a pretty negative stigma around it in the industry? I mean, the industry itself being mining, construction, that kind of area, trades, etc., can be a bit of a, for want of use of a better term, a bloke's world. And it, to me, has often seemed that it's a case of, don't worry about it, mate, just brush yourself off and keep going, don't talk to anyone about it, you know, that kind of idea. Is that still around, or are you finding that that's changing a bit? I mean, you mentioned that there were quite a few people who shared similar stories with you, and you got through it by just confiding and talking and, dare I say, talking through some of the issues that you had. Is that changing? Is the stigma around it changing, or is it sort of still there and you were just lucky to find some really good people?
I definitely think it depends on where you are. I think I got lucky having a good crew and good people to talk to, but in general I'd say it's definitely changing. Like I'm saying, you see it in a lot of industries now. It's a lot of that. We have Are You OK Day and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely think it's changing. Probably faster in other industries than some others, but yeah. I still think I got kind of lucky. Good people to trust in and confide in.
And insofar as how you're seeing it change, what are some of the things that you're seeing now, or maybe now that you're a tradesman or right at the end of your apprenticeship, that you would have liked to have seen right at the start?
I don't know, there's just a lot more people talking about it, I suppose you'd say, even in the short time of 4 years for me from start to finish. There's just a lot more people talking about the issues and a lot more people sharing their stories.
What are your hopes for the future in regards to this area?
I would love for there not to be a stigma anymore, for blokes not to feel ashamed or worried that, if they speak up, they're committing career suicide or it's not going to affect their job or stuff like that. I suppose just be good to know that no matter what you're going through, someone else has probably gone through it before as well. So yeah, there's always someone out there that's willing to talk. If you just pick up the phone, got Lifeline. Most companies now have their EAP, their employee assistance programs, and that you can call up, and yeah.
Do you think it's a case of a two-way street? So someone like yourself has reached out to someone else who's a bit more senior than yourself, and they've gone, yeah, actually I went through that as well. And maybe the people at the top, dare I say, or the people who are your superiors, or people in similar positions to yourself, superiors, are now starting to realise, maybe there's a lot more people who are going through this now, and now I can help because I've been through that. And they're normalising it, the people who are going through now, the young apprentices, the younger people in the industry, they're normalising it. So the people at the top are now saying, well, now it's normal and I can actually do something about it. Do you think that's a fair comment, or is it maybe a bit of a cop-out?
No, I'd definitely say that's the case. It's definitely seeing a kind of changing of the guard, I guess you'd say. So the people that are probably getting up into those bigger positions now, that are in maybe their 40s, 50s, they're probably understanding, and they're seeing the change of changing of the guard, as you'd say, that they've probably dealt with similar things, and now they know that it's acceptable and that to talk about it, and we can have that discussion. And like where I did my time, CSI, that's a subsidiary of Mineral Resources. When they induct new apprentices now, they have our little apprentice orientation day at our workshop in Kwinana. And the managing director of the company, Chris Ellison, actually comes down and meets every apprentice and meets all the families, and pretty much gives a personal guarantee that, your kid's going to be looked after here, they're going to be safe, they have any problems, you can pretty much come to me directly. It's not a bad, what's it, fourth or fifth biggest mining company or something in WA, and you're getting that kind of personal guarantee right from the top. And that the pretty much, I think the 4 or 5 top people in that company are all tradesmen as well. So they're probably all been there, they've done that, they've dealt with stuff like that, I suppose.
Is it a case that those people who are at the top are now giving these guarantees because parents are sort of saying, well, mining is a dangerous industry, we want to feel a bit more secure that little Johnny or little Sarah is going somewhere safe to work, and these things are starting to crop up more as a real issue. So the parents are going, well, what can we do? And the companies are realising that, and they're saying, well, we need to make sure that people understand that this is a safe workplace.
Like mining, construction, industrial industries, they're definitely not places for children, I guess you'd say. Like even starting an apprenticeship, you might start at 16 or whatever, but you mature very quickly, because I think you find if you don't, you're not cutting the mustard, you really you probably won't find yourself there very long. Like you need to be mature, and you need to be, I suppose, a bit grown up. Not so much have a thick skin, but that would probably help too. But yeah, it's not a place for kids, and you have to grow up very quickly. And I think apprenticeships are good for that. Helping you mature, I suppose you'd say. But yeah, I think what you're saying about needing that guarantee, I suppose, that's just that extra little bit of reassurance that you're sending your kid to work in the morning, they're going to come home in the afternoon. I mean, that's pretty much the goal when any of us go to work, is to just come home in the same state we went to work in. Yeah,
safety is so important.
Safety is paramount now, which is even that, talking about mental health, safety's come a long way in the last, however long it's been, last 20 years probably. So before my time.
Yeah.
Feeling like I'm 45 years old.
Again, that's the maturity coming in, right? You mentioned as well that you do your time at CET, insofar as the teaching and or learning your trade was concerned. It'd be I'd probably get fired if I didn't ask you how the experience was there. So how was it?
CT was good. It was always, for the most part, quite educational, I should say. All the lecturers and that were fantastic. They were very knowledgeable. I think it helps having tradesmen teaching tradesmen, I guess you'd say. Like, obviously, pretty much everyone in there that was, teaching kids and lecturing, not just kids, young adults like myself, they've been there, they've done it, they're tradesmen themselves, they're there to pass on their knowledge. And just any little things, especially coming up to capstone and that, any issues and that you had, you could raise with any lecturer, and they were happy a lot of the time to walk you through it or stay after class and give you a little bit extra time to get something done, or make sure you pass the class. They'd always go the extra mile, I suppose you'd say. So obviously, we want to keep our industry prosperous, I guess you'd say, and no one wants to see someone go through 4 years and not make it through to the end, I suppose. So.
Or not complete at the end.
Exactly. So CT was fantastic. Even going up to the Joondalup campus to complete my Cert 4, same thing up there. All the lecturers that I dealt with were fantastic, very knowledgeable, happy to go the extra mile to make sure that you had what you needed to succeed.
Excellent. But you did pass. So
yes.
You're a fully fledged electrician now, out on your own. What are some of the things that they don't tell you about in your apprenticeship that you wish you didn't have to learn on your own now?
Not being able to play the I'm an apprentice card is definitely something you have to learn. Like, you got to take responsibility for your job, and now I have my own apprentice that I mentor at work, and there's a lot of, you can see why sometimes your tradesmen were a bit don't touch that, don't do anything while I'm not here, because obviously you can't see it, you can't smell it. This is just, we're pretty much playing with invisible death, I guess you'd say. And but I always heard the saying that you will learn more in your first year out than you will in your 4 years in, and that is definitely true. Really having to stand, I suppose, up on your own 2 feet when there's a problem, plant's down, or something's not working, and it falls to you to get it solved. Just a lot of the legalities behind what we do as well, like making sure I did it all through my apprenticeship as well, but just how important those test results are, and making sure it's all uniform and in the logbook the way it's meant to be, and stuff along those lines. I mean, I still have a lot to learn. I could probably sit here in 40 more years and still say the same thing. Like, this industry is just, it's forever changing. It evolves every day. New technologies coming through.
But I suppose it's one of the exciting things about electrical, right, is the fact that it's almost on the forefront of innovation.
Oh, 100%. You've got, you can just about, I think one of the lecturers at CET was telling me they paint on lights now.
Wait, what?
They paint on lights.
Just to be clear, this isn't a bad painter painting over lights, right?
No. 100%. I think there's a video on the internet about it. They painted a motorcycle, Harley Davidson or something, and then they flick a switch and it just glows.
Yeah, right. I need to check that out. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, it's certainly that paves a really different way forward for lighting buildings and all that kind of stuff, doesn't it?
100%. Yeah, I got told about that when I was in my first year by one of the lecturers across the road.
Behind. That's good to see.
Yeah, that blew my mind.
Yeah, bloody hell. You mentioned there that you want to be sitting here in 40 years' time saying how the industry's evolved and everything like that. But I want you to have a think about the last sort of 12 months and really since you started your apprenticeship. You mentioned before we started recording that it's been a busy 5 years for you. How has your life changed since you started your career in electrical? Basically what I'm asking is, has becoming an electrician changed your life, and if so, how?
It's definitely changed my life. Mentioned before, like I was in a job, not a career. Now I have a career. I go to work with a sense of purpose, and I'm helping make the world a better place. Helping my company that I'm working for, and it's just a lot better to be able to go to work and apply yourself and achieve something at the end of the day. Like you can stand back and look at something and be like, I built that, or I helped build that, or that thing works because I was here. But yeah, lots happened in the last 4 or 5 years. Like when I was in the 3rd year of my apprenticeship, my partner fell pregnant and she was completing an apprenticeship as well, just started, just had an orientation, and found out we were pregnant, so we weren't really prepared for it at that point, and there was a lot of discussion about what we were going to do, but yeah, we ended up having our son later on that year, and she went off on maternity leave. And made more sense for me to keep working, obviously, and finish my time, and I'm hoping that she'll get to have her turn in the sun as well. And finished my time, obviously, at the start of the year, and decided that we'd have another baby close together, and we're lucky enough a couple of months ago to have a beautiful baby girl.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, so lots happened in 4 or 5 years, and hopefully the next 4 or 5 years will be just as exciting.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about that. Where do you want to be in 5 years' time?
Well, it's up to me, I would probably say. And I could have any job I wanted. I'd probably move into doing oil and gas, I would say. I like the industry and getting to be a bit more hands-on, using my instrumentation and stuff like that. I just find that a bit more stimulating.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it'd be good to have an oil and gas job, but we'll see what happens, I suppose. Pretty happy where I am at the moment, but doors always open for the next best thing, I suppose.
Absolutely. I want to finish on talking about something completely different. You've mentioned you've got a young bloke and soon to be a young daughter as well. Tell us a bit about your life outside work.
Outside work, well, where I completed my time, I was FIFO, unfortunately, doing 2 and 1, and obviously being an apprentice, you don't really have the option to say no or do a bit. You kind of just got to bite the bullet and do what's asked of you because you're in your time. Once I got signed off, though, I definitely started looking at other avenues and was lucky enough to pick up a residential job up in Port Hedland with BHP. So that's probably been the main focus of my time now. Being able to be home every night with my partner and our small children to watch them grow and not miss out on as much. So yeah, outside of that, it's a lot of I guess you'd say trying to get out and see the country and explore up north for our time that we're up there.
Beautiful.
Yeah, get out, go camping, go for a drive, go and check out Carragini and Millstream.
Yep.
So that's just trying to get the kids out of the house as well. No, not sitting in front of the TV the whole time, and explore.
Yeah, it's a good place. It's an interesting world up there.
It is. It's a totally different world. I think we're very lucky in WA. We have kind of the best of both worlds. It's all our awesome stuff we have down south and then all the awesome stuff we have up north. It's two totally different worlds.
Absolutely.